But now let me move into what happened over the weekend. The women's national soccer team just was eliminated in the round of 16 playing against Sweden. They had a penalty shootout, and among the people who missed their kicks was Megan Rapinoe. Megan Rapinoe, the woman who does not have a soft spot in her heart for the United States of America, despite the fact that she wears the red, white, and blue in competition very frequently and then complains about it. For more on all of this, I want to bring in Bobby Burack. He's a columnist at OutKick and joins us on the phone. Bobby, good afternoon to you.
Vince, I appreciate it.
What happened?
So I went into this tournament a little bit confused. So full disclosure, I don't like soccer. I don't really like women's sports. So I'm not a fan of women's soccer. But there was this debate online and even at OutKick, should we root for or against the U.S. women's soccer team?
Right.
I didn't really have an opinion, but I was fascinated by the discussion because on one hand, they represent us, the USA, and I'm pretty patriotic myself. At least I try to be and think I am. But then you have these women on the soccer team, like Megan Rapinoe, who really abhor everything about the United States. This is the woman who ex-teammates say bullied them and shamed them into kneeling for the national anthem. So Megan Rapinoe has always been a vile character, doesn't like the United States, treats her teammates poorly. I mean, she's very unlikable. And she's become the face of U.S. women's soccer team. So I don't begrudge anybody for rooting against the team, particularly this whole push towards equal pay. Even though we don't make nearly as much money for our team, we want to be paid like the men who make triple us and all that stuff. So I totally get why people rooted against the team. So I was traveling over the past 2 days, and I saw on my phone yesterday afternoon, Team USA lost, which was a huge shock. They were like a minus 5,000 favorite to win this game and win the tournament. And what was so interesting about it is they lost in large part because Megan Rapinoe missed her penalty kick, and that just got everybody going. I saw some people from ESPN, CBS say, oh, of course the sexist, bigoted conservatives are now rooting against the USA because Megan Rapinoe missed the goal. But I think that's not accurate. I don't think conservatives or really anybody in the country was necessarily rooting against the red, white, and blue. They were rooting against players like Megan Rapinoe.
100%. There's no question to me. Nobody's rooting against the flag or the country. They're rooting against the people who are constantly crap talking it. So that's Megan Rapinoe. And by the way, it's not the whole team. My impression is that you get a bunch of these women who have worked their whole lives towards this goal. They're going to play soccer. They're not there to make political statements. They're not all Megan Rapinoe. So there is some schadenfreude in watching Megan Rapinoe blow it, and not even close. The kick sailed clean over the goal, like she had never played soccer in her life. I think people enjoyed that because they were tired of being crapped on by her.
Yeah, absolutely. And I never really declared either way. But I think if you were to ask me, honestly, I would have said, I want Team USA to win the cup. Right. But I also wouldn't mind seeing Megan Rapinoe fail in front of the entire world just for giggles and kind of what all she said. So there was a lot of people celebrating, but it was more because it was Rapinoe, not that Team USA lost.
Megan Rapinoe was asked what. Well, actually, let me play two pieces of audio. This is Megan Rapinoe taking the kick, and the announcer, helping us relive that humiliating moment for her.
Rapinoe right foots it over the bar.
And Rapinoe, after she missed, she had a big smile on her face for some reason. That's kind of weird. I wouldn't be smiling if I had done that. Rapinoe was asked after the game what her favorite memory of U.S. soccer was, and here's what she said.
Is there a memory that stands out to you right now in this moment?
I mean, probably equal pay chance after the final.
Oh, my God.
And I think, they were saying equal pay, but could have been saying a lot of things. I think this team has always fought for so much more, and that's been the most rewarding part for me, of course.
Oh, what an insufferable loser she is. Equal pay was her favorite part of playing the highest levels of soccer competition?
Yeah, and that's the thing about her is that she represents really the worst of what America is. You look at her, she's this spoiled, entitled brat who tells everybody that she's a victim, that because she's a woman that she's not making as much money as her male counterparts. Again, I've written about this. The reason she doesn't make as much as the men is because the women's team doesn't generate as much money as the men.
Right.
I believe Don Lemon, before he was booted off CNN, actually made that point. I know everybody jumped on him and said he's sexist. Well, maybe Don Lemon is, but that the women don't deserve to make more money because they don't generate as much money.
Well, that's right. That's right. What's happening here is she's selling a product that nobody's buying. That's the issue.
Right. That's
that's go ahead.
Go ahead. That's like a male Instagram model saying it's sexist that I don't make as much money as the female Instagram model.
Right.
The reason is because the male doesn't drive as much engagement. It's not sexist. It's reality. It's business.
Yes.
Something else that bugs me about her, and this didn't get a lot of attention, but she did an interview leading into this tournament, calling out Dave Chappelle, the comedian, and Sage Steele, the ESPN broadcaster. She put out there that these two individuals are endangering and threatening transgender people by saying that men and women are different. So, first of all, the hysteria that she's produced for the United States is one thing. But to put these labels on the backs of these people saying that they're dangerous, that they're threats to humanity, I mean, it's just such a lie. And nobody in the media holds her accountable. She's done so many interviews since then, and nobody's asked her to provide any evidence that Dave Chappelle and Sage Steele are putting the lives of transgender people in danger. She's been coddled her entire career, yet she stands up there and acts like she hasn't been.
But one of the key takeaways from that particular opinion is that she's undermining women's sports. She is gutting the very institution that let her perform at a level where television cameras captured it and shared it with us. So she is now, she's retiring. This is the end of her career, fittingly, as she misses that final goal and eliminates her team from competition. But at the same time, she's pulling up the ladder behind her. She is making it harder for women to compete at the level that she competed at by endorsing the idea that men can take their places.
Yeah, absolutely. There's this odd group of athletes and media members who say they're advocates for women's sports and that they love the WNBA, but at the same time they're advocating for Leah Thomas, who was born Will as a male, and they go after Riley Gaines and undermine her. It doesn't really make sense. Either you want women to have equal opportunity or you don't. And there seems to be this odd dichotomy between the group that says all this. And look, the obvious answer is these people don't mean what they're saying. They're pandering. They're trying to grow their own status. None of them actually care. I mean, at least in Rapinoe's case, she's trying to enrich herself by discussing equal pay. But you can't take anything that these athletes are.
You're exactly right. There's no underlying virtue. It's a vice, actually. It's narcissism. Megan Rapinoe likes being on the cover of magazines. She likes being invited to awards shows. She likes being the face of victimhood because it's been profitable for her personally. It's satisfied her, or at least it's helped her unquenchable ego. She is a narcissist, and it's on display. And I saw there's a video that's been going around of her at an award show a couple years back. She was wearing one of the, sometimes these female celebrities, they won't wear a shirt underneath a blazer. They'll wear a blazer. And the blazers, it's just a blazer, and she's obviously naked underneath it. And she's sitting at an award show, and a young man, a little boy, comes up to her with a soccer ball and hands her a marker and a soccer ball, a Sharpie and a soccer ball for her to sign. She signs it without looking at him. She looks away from him as if she's more interested in what's going on around her, signs it, hands it back to him. The most disinterested posture ever. And it tells you everything, Bobby Burack. She is so completely full of herself that she doesn't actually have an idea, like a moral compass of any meaning. It's really about her.
No, I mean, she's a sociopath. I mean, I wouldn't even say hypocrite. I would say sociopath. These examples have followed her ever since she's been in the news. I mean, I saw some people say, well, it's great that she's going to be off Team USA. The problem is now she's going to have more time to spew this nonsense and hate. That, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if she ends up on ESPN or CNN. I mean, she'll be around. Her voice will probably be bigger because, at least according to the sports world and corporate media, they hold her up as a hero. They print every word that she utters like it's the gossip. So she's not going anywhere. She might not be playing on Team USA, but her voice, the headline she creates, it's only begun.
One other thing about Team USA, the women's team, I was a little confused by the scandal involving the national anthem this year. Nobody was kneeling or anything, but there was some scandal made of the fact that some of the players didn't sing along to the anthem. My impression has always been I don't typically sing along to the national anthem unless the mood strikes and everybody around me is singing. I'll join in for something like that. But by and large, I keep my mouth shut and let whoever's singing sing. But apparently, was this an act of protest on the part of some of these players to not sing the national anthem?
So I didn't understand that either. I've gone to a bunch of sporting events. I've just asked on the past few weekends. I don't sing during the national anthem. I don't think that's a protest. I stand up and all that, just gestures. But I don't know if that was a protest, honestly, because if it is, I mean, I've been protesting for my entire life. I didn't know about it. I don't know that that's a protest. I wouldn't put it past them because of what they've done. But I do think this is USA. If they wanted to protest, they would have knelt down. So I don't believe it was. I think they wouldn't have hit it. They would have just done what they did before.
Well, it's also silly. They should be. If it was, that's preposterous. Just be proud of the team that you're representing, and represent America well. And this is also just as a final thought, Bobby. This is really the product of the leftist education system, the leftist cultural revolution we're undergoing. The hate America attitude is so pervasive and fashionable that you're seeing people, young people especially, adopt it. Thinking that that's the proper posture to have. And it's so unfortunate because we have a great country with a great legacy. They should be proud of it, and they should want to build on it.
That's so well said. It's so true, too. Growing up, like, disrespecting the American flag or the country was frowned upon. Like, I would never think of doing it, particularly in a public setting. Like, doing so was just not acceptable. And it really shouldn't necessarily be on the scale it is now. I mean, I'm all for criticizing the country and our leadership, but to be ashamed of the red, white, and blue, the flag, and what it means, that's gone, a total different level. I interviewed Pete Hegseth from Fox and Friends a couple years ago, and he had this line that really stuck with me. He goes, if you compare America to heaven, it's going to fail every time. But if you compare America to any other nation in the country, it's going to win every time. I believe that's the most astute way to look at the nation right now.
Ask any immigrant. You're totally right. Thank you very much, as always, Bobby Burack over at OutKick. Appreciate your insights and your excellent work. Thank you, Bobby.